Gonna get into this book, Before Cortés, Sculpture of Middle America. Got this mosaic head pendant, it says here, number 188. Before Cortés, Sculpture of Middle America, a Centennial Exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum of Art from September 30th, 1970 through January 3rd, 1971. So in case you guys missed this, here you go. Cataloged by Elizabeth Kennedy Esby and John F. Scott, so you guys can see the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Ancient Middle America was, in the words of the late Miguel Covarrubias, the Mexican artist, archaeologist, and art historian, the intellectual and artistic focus of Indian civilization, the leading Indian cultural center of the hemisphere. It was here that the major arts of architecture, mural painting, and especially sculpture reached heights seldom equaled at any time or in any place. They're talking about the world. Okay? Architecture, mural paintings, sculptures. To give a broad picture, sculpture from the West Indies, Columbus' first landfall, and from all Central America as far south as Panama, has been included in this exhibition. Although, strictly speaking, the area of Allied advanced Middle American cultures, referred to as Mesoamerica, is considered to extend only from central Mexico approximately to Nicaragua. Also, since even the smallest objects may display great virtuosity and have a monumental quality, gold and lapidary work, carving in wood, shell and bone, and ceramic figures have been included. Notwithstanding the unstinted generosity of our many lenders, the exhibition is not an encyclopedia of all Middle American sculpture. The finest pieces in some styles, such as the stone sculptures of the Olmec from Tabasco and Veracruz, and those of the Huastecs from Tamaulipas and northern Veracruz, have had to be omitted for reasons beyond our control. You see that? They're hiding some. Special mention must be made, however, of the great treasures lent by European museums. None of these has made the westward crossing of the Atlantic before. and many of them were not recovered during archaeological explorations, but were above ground and used and sent to Europe at or shortly after the time of the Spanish conquest in the 16th century. So let's continue now with the artifacts, the pottery, the stone sculptures. This is one of them right here. And look at the what appears to be like a turban or even a flat top. So you see here the art. Okay. Standing figure. Says number 17. So I guess the numbers are in the back. It tells you what they are, where they're from. This right here says seated child, number 19. A seated child. Is he really a child? But these are from the Olmec, I believe, the seated Buddha-like. All right, as you can see. Got a duck here, and it says on the next page, a figure holding a jaguar baby. Ah, you see the figure holding a jaguar baby, a were-jaguar. All right. You guys can see. We got a bird pendant here out of jade, a large dog head pendant, as it says here. And this one's a very cool one. It says a man holding a jaguar cub. A man holding a jaguar cub. I just want to show you guys this man. Look at his phenotype, and he has a beard. Okay, he has a beard. You know, they said the Indians don't have beards, but a lot of these sculptures have Indians with beards, right? So-called Indians. We got ancient Marucans here, and he's holding a jaguar. He's just holding them like a little baby, right? Got this other piece right here. Almost look like these those stone heads in the Galapagos Islands and other places in the world. All right. It says standing figure number 79. All right, this next one is nice. Check this one out. All right, let me back up. Well, let me just back up so you guys can see it better. All right. Look at that. Got the Dracan. Look at the Dracan. Next, we got this jar with the head of a wind god, it says. Really awesome artifacts here from ancient America, Middle America, Central America, as they call it. And this says it's a kneeling Chinesca woman, Chinesca, from the Chinesca people. All right, this next sculpture right here, pretty cool. Look at all the stuff around his head. Kind of reminds you of the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians and how the people dress up there. You know, still holding on to old traditions. Look at the jewelry and everything. This is very cool. Couple colored tribes of America. We got a plum jaguar, okay? And then we got a pato loco. You got the pollo loco, but then you also got the pato loco. You get it? Anciently, the pato loco. Look at him. He got crystals and everything, shells and everything. That's shells, actually. Yeah, shells. All right, look at this one. This one's really cool. All right. Let me just leave that on there for a while. Let me just zoom in real quick. Shout out to the mud fossil researchers out there. Don't this look like how those images of the mountains looking up, the giant looking up, right? It's fossilized. Look at that. Now you see it has a beard and everything, right? It has a beard and everything. And it says opposite, open work hasha of a man struggling with a snake. Struggling with a snake. Oh, you see that? Now just to back up a little bit so you guys can see struggling with a snake, it says, wow. Trying to eat his head up, probably. So next we got this head pendant, as it says here, head pendant. And you can see the curly hair or whatever, you know, curly hair on him. Look at that nose. I got that nose. You know, I got that same nose right there. Water lily spirit. It says this one is a water lily spirit, right? This one I know personally. This is from Costa Rica. I know that for sure. A woman. Just look at that. And look at the tattoos, I guess, all over her body. Look at this. This is cool. I've shown it actually in previous videos. It says animal head bell. I guess made out of gold. A long beaked bird pendant. A long beak. That looks like a toucan to me. A toucan. A toucan. Toucan. Twin warrior pendants. This right here is a ceremonial stool, it says, ceremonial stool. This is a nice little piece right here. Let me back up. Look like he got his hands up. Couple colored tribes of America. Check it out. Look at the hat he got on. Almost look like corn. It says Atlantean warrior. Whoa, uh-oh. Atlantean warrior. Atlantean warrior. Check it out. All right, this is from Central America. They're calling it an Atlantean warrior. All right, let me back up. Yeah, Atlantean warrior. This is pectoral in the form of shallot. I guess it's this one. And then we got a pectoral here, gold. It says this is a handle for a sacrificial knife. All right, look at that. A handle from a sacrificial knife. Look at that design. Wow. Mosaic jade, a person holding it. That's awesome. All right, and then we got this next one right here. Look at this. Yeah, look at that. It says green stone of Shallot. Remember, Shallot is the god on the underworld. That's the real Anubis. All right, the real Anubis. Check out my video on Shallot. Is Anubis found in America? Anubis found in America, Shallot. High cultures of Middle America. It says here, Middle America. The area represented in this exhibition includes the present political, geographic areas of Mexico, Central America, through Panama, and the island chain of the Antilles. Its focal point in pre-Hispanic times was Mesoamerica, the area from central Mexico south to Nicaragua, where the Indian populations reached, by anyone's definition, the stage of true civilization. In spite of the great variety of languages and cultures within Mesoamerica, all right, many languages and cultures here, all right, not just one nation, not just one people, no one generalization. Considerable interrelationship between groups forged many links that joined all together into one civilization. A similar situation existed in the classical Mediterranean world, where the difference between Ptolemaic Egypt, Ionic Anatolia, Phoenician Carthage, and Etruscan Italy did not preclude many common bonds. The 2,500-year ebb and flow of cultures in Mesoamerica parallels the transformation of the Mediterranean world from the Minoan Empire into the Byzantine. Similar to the barbarian fringes of the Roman Empire, where certain elements of the Mediterranean civilization were known and imperfectly copied, the fringes around Mesoamerica had some but far from all of the traits of that civilization. The Antilles, although their culture was essentially South American in origin, from the Amazon and Orinoco, all right, and the northern littoral, had some contact with Mesoamerica, as evidenced by archaeological finds in Puerto Rico of protective gear for the ubiquitous ceremonial ball games. All right, the ball games. Now I can attest to this. One of my major lines is the Huetar people, indigenous people of Costa Rica, I recently discovered anciently come from the Carib people, or people coming out of Brazil, South America, the Amazon. They had gone up there and settled in the valleys of central Costa Rica, all the way from Atlantic to Pacific. So it fits what they're telling us here about these people originating in the Amazon and Orinoco. It says Mesoamerica and the Andean region, the other great center of high culture in the New World, were quite separate. Nevertheless, recent archaeologist studies have shown undoubtful contacts and mutual influences in such matters as pottery and figurine design, metalworking, the religious importance of the jaguar, corn as a major item of diet, and thin copper replicas of axes used as medium of exchange. All right, it says here, animal head, now fossilized. This worked bone, all right, a worked bone was found nearly 40 feet deep in upper Pleistocene deposits dating from about 10,000 to 8,000 BC at Tequisquiac in the north of the Valley of Mexico. It's about 6 inches. It's in the Museo Nacional de Antropología, Mexico. All right, look at that, worked bone. Meaning they actually made this look like a pig, you see? They grabbed a piece of bone from something and then made it into art. All right, so then we got these figurines, right? Figurine with baby, it says here. Then we got number 2 and 3. We'll get to those. The figurine with baby says the practiced hand of early potter working with bits of clay and a punch tool shows clearly in this figurine. Its short flipper arms with wide fingers divided by pressed lines, its tall head and its headdress made of fillets and pellets are characteristic of the type destinated C1 to form the eyes. All right, is that a headdress or is that her hair? Is that her dreadlocks? Is that her headdress? All right. And we got these two down here. All right. And again, look at that. Is that her hair? And look at this. Is that his hair? Look at that. You see? All right. You see the shape, the bodies. You already know. Then we got this mask, figurine mask right here. Right here, we got another statue right here. Figurine. Seated figurine. Guatemala Caminaliuyu. From the BCs, all right? Guatemalan highlands. Some more seated figurines that you guys can see. Pause it. You can see this from Nicaragua. Down here, we got a reclining figurine. Reclining. Playa de los Muertos, Ulia Valley, Honduras, from 1100 BC. University of Harvard, Harvard University, Peabody Museum, one of the very good museums to go to if you're in Boston. Figurine leaning on pillow. A reclining figurine. Check this out. Everybody's just chilling. Everybody's just chilling back in ancient times when you got corn growing everywhere, abundance. Reclining figurine pendant. Olmec figurine carved of stone, usually stand or sit, and with only a few exceptions, they are freestanding miniature sculptures, not pendants. This one is perforated at the neck and the hip to hang horizontally, as to do the typical clamshell and spoon-like pendants. The nasal septum and earlobes are pierced also, and the opening that free the limbs from the body are cut out by drilling in string solents. All right, and then we got this seated figure here. Very popular. Look at his phenotype. White slip pottery with traces of red pigment. Las Bocas, Pueblo, Mexico. Large for a figure of solid clay. Helmeted figurine. This is, and then a seated figurine. That's the next two. So the helmeted, as you guys can see, look at that. Helmeted, look like a spaceman. Look at that. Or was he playing football? Is that sports gear he got on? What is that? Or is he scuba diving? What's going on here? And then look at her. We've seen her before. Look at her hair. Wow, look at her. And look at this. And we got another, says here, standing figurine. It also got a helmet, a football helmet again. This is the chubby childlike figure is hollow with open mouth. Perforations at the temple and a slit in the head, reminiscent of that in a piggy bank. Wow. The face, though babyish, is not Olmec but realistic, as in number 14, while the helmet and suggested ligatures above the knees are unusual elements shared with number 13. So a helmet, look at that. And then we got another one under him, two standing figures after him. They're from Mexico. All right, two standing figures. Look at this with the flat top again, or the turban. And look at this. Almost look like those soldiers from medieval times with that chain kind of gear, metal kind of armor, and the helmet. I don't know. I'm just saying. Keep going. We got this supposedly seated child, says pale orange clay from central Mexico. That's animated as number 18. All right, you guys see it also has like a little helmet or hair. Not sure what it is. And we saw this earlier. So what's up with all these babies, huh? Asian, very Asian looking babies from the Olmec era. part of my future video, going a little ahead here. I'm not really emphasizing it, but I just want you guys to pay attention. A lot of these are Olmec. All right, so you guys can see it's not just one phenotype they always portray. It says here, opossum on squash. An opossum on squash. This is the opossum on squash right here, actually, in the bottom. And on the top here is the monkey. It's a monkey, right? A monkey right here. Look at that. That's funny. We got a duck. All right. Peccary pot. Peccary pot. Laughing peccary pot. A laughing peccary pot. Standing figurine. Standing figurine. All right. And this is a coyote right here. And two standing figurines. You guys can see. Look at the designs. Was that a reptilian? Miniature figurine beads. I guess these are very tiny. Oh wow, look at this. Whoa, what is this? Female figurine, San Jerónimo, Guerrero, Mexico. Not closely related to Central Mexican type figurines from the Pacific coast west of Acapulco, are characterized by elegantly elongated heads, matte surfaces, and decoration that depends primarily on textured areas and pits punched into the wet clay. All right, you tell me. Look at that. All right, you see that? And this is the next image right here. We got Bart Simpson. We got an alien looking kind of thing right here. What's going on? He got a horn coming out. And of course, now we got a colossal head, right? The colossal heads of the Olmec. 1600 BC, Villahermosa, Tabasco, Veracruz. Look at this. All right, the Olmec head, colossal Olmec head. Got this other statue right here. You guys can see with a helmet and everything. That's his features. He's like kneeling down, cross-legged. Says here, though among the most convincingly realistic of Olmec works, this handsome figure has no feet and sits in a stylish jaguar-like pose, often represented but actually impossible for man or beast. Another one, kind of similar, with the face up here. You see were jaguar and another face down here. Got this other one right here. All right. So a seated man with a jaguar baby. With a jaguar baby. We're calling all these jaguar babies. Votive axe. This right here is an axe shaped like a huge cell. This sculpture is light green jade. Look at that. All right, and it goes down here. And then we got a ceremonial mask. All right, a ceremonial mask. And it says here, relief of a man and a serpent. This is a very cool image, very famous, controversial too. Some say it looks like he's in some kind of flying device. He got the little bag. I noticed he got like a little eagle, kind of like the eagle, like the eagle headgear. It reminds me of the eagle man holding the bag in Mesopotamia, holding the corn. And then you see the dracan, the feather serpent. Another figurine here. It says here, man jaguar, el danzante, the dancing one. These next ones are pretty cool. Check this one out. All right, check these out right here. Let me zoom into one of these ones real quick. All right, so check this one all the way to the right. Look at that. Look at his phenotype. He got a helmet on, almost look like the Olmec stone heads, the large Olmec stone heads. I'm gonna back up again so you guys can see how tiny that is. And then we got another one right here, right next to him. And then we got the other one right next to them. Look at that. That's pretty cool stuff right here. It says here, a handle of a ceremonial perforator. Guatemala. And we got these down here. We got this one earlier. We saw this one earlier. We hadn't seen this one. Look at this one. One looks very funny. All right, and we got these figurines, these cool little figurines from Central America and Mexico. This is a kneeling figure. All right, these are like weird jaguars, half human, half jaguar. Talk about Black Panther, jaguar baby, wind figure pendant, a monkey pendant right here, some more artifacts right here. All right, and what appears to be a vase. It's a cool little map shown here. Just want to show you guys down here where it says Liberia. That's in Costa Rica. We have Liberia, the original Liberia. Yeah, this is older than the Liberia over there. Post-Olmec and Izapan art. The spread of the Olmec culture established a common style and subject matter throughout Mesoamerica. Regional variations occurred in the emphasis given to certain subjects and techniques. Hollow ceramic baby figures were dominant art form in central Mexico, greenstone effigy axes in Guerrero, and stone relief sculpture in the Maya highlands and on the Pacific slope. When the power of the Olmec heartland over these provincial regions weakened, each developed its own distinctive style out of the common artistic tradition. Since all these regional styles are clearly descended from the Olmecs, they are often called Olmecoid. But because this term can also mean contemporary deviation from Olmec canons established at San Lorenzo and La Venta, 1150 to 600 BC, styles post-dating the end of the Olmec art in the Veracruz Tabasco heartland will be referred to here as post-Olmec. All right, so we got this stone figure right here. It says pedestal stone with figure of a captive. All right, you got like a horn or something. So what this next picture says here, the plaza in front of Mount 30 at Izapa. Let me show you that. So this is right here. All right, and a mound. You see a mound. You see some archaeological stone artifacts here, and architecture possibly underneath. Right here on the right says a drawing of a Stela 10 from Caminal Juju, all right, Guatemala. Very interesting drawing. As you guys can see, this figure over here almost looks like Asian drawings you see in Japan and China, like the dragon and everything. See with the tooth coming out. Right here we got a round human head, it says, dark gray volcanic stone, height about 13 inches, 34 centimeters, Caminal Juju, Guatemala. All right, about 100 and 250 AD. This is a colossal head, it says here. There's another one at Monte Alto, near La Democracia, on the Pacific coast of Guatemala. They found that there. We got this sculpture right here. We back up, pretty cool sculpture. All right, this appears to be a jaguar and a monkey over here, I guess. All right, and a jaguar. We keep going down here. We got some stelas, pretty cool stela. Let me close into that one. All right, you see what they carved in the stela. This is stone. Just like in the Egyptian pyramids, they're carving these things on the stone. You see side profiles. Let me show you the one on this side. Now pay close attention to this guy. All right, look at that. You can see his phenotype. You see almost look like he got a fro or a mohawk or something like that. All right, and the most cool thing about this is it shows his chakra system. I've seen this in a book, Pyramids of Ancient Mexico. It's pointing out that he has chakras. It says here, slab with the relief of Danzante, Monte Alban, Oaxaca, Mexico. Yeah, so they won't definitely put it here, but he has his chakras shown right here. We got two stelas here, as they call them. Stela from Izapa and one from Caminal Juju, right next to each other. You guys can see that this guy's holding a head here. He just cut off somebody's head. What appears to be like a little guy. Look at that. Looks like a little person right here. Maybe this is a giant. A couple of giants. This is the real people look, or unless they're far away, but they look very small, as you guys can see. Silhouette relief over here. or remains of an ancient piece of wall or something. We got another stela right here, and look at this figurine, and it has a beard. Look at him. Let me just close up on him. As you can see, who's that in there? And you see the beard that this person has. They say the Indians didn't wear beard. All right, look how he was dressed. All right, almost look like the Babylonian figurines, how they're walking sideways. See his hair and beard. We got this figure over here. Let me back up a little bit. Very cool right here. All right. Again, this is all made out of stone. This next one is a mushroom sculpture. Look at that, a mushroom sculpture from Guatemala. A kneeling bearded man. Right, he has a beard. Look at all these mushroom sculptures. And that's the kneeling bearded man. I want to show you that. That's the one they were talking about. Look at his phenotype. Look at that. You remember who you are? And then look at his beard. All right, a kneeling man. Look at that. This is from Central America and Mexico. This, I believe, right here. This is from Guatemala. Let me go back. The kneeling bearded man is from Honduras, actually. La Lima, Ulua Valley, Honduras. All right, this guy right here is from Honduras. All right, Honduras. Yeah. All right, we got some more over here. These are pretty cool. Some more figurines. And they all probably got like beards and stuff. Let me start with this guy on this side. All right, see, yeah, it looks like he might have. Looks like it's a body. Look, he looks big, like he's lifting weights and stuff. And then on this side, I think we already got the man with the bearded man with the baby jaguar, right? He's holding up the baby jaguar. Look at that. Look at his hat. Look like a gnome. He looked like a gnome. It says here, profile head pendant, Nicaragua. Wow, look at that. That's so cool. Very cool. This next figure is very cool too. Look at this. What is this? A mask? All right. And it says this is a mask of man jaguar. A mask of man jaguar. Look at that. And that is from Veracruz, Mexico. Then we got a masked pendant, a mask pendant over here. Look at the phenotype. A bib head pendant, another one. That's from Mexico too. A standing masked figure. A bowl. We got a bowl right here. And look at this. This one's pretty cool. Look at that. All right. And then another one, like a vase or cup or something. Look at this cool one right here. Very artistic. People took their time designing some of these, as you guys can see. Back up so you guys can see that. And then we got this guy again, as you guys can see. Look at that. It's pretty cool. All right, and we continue. We got some more sculptures here. Standing figures is from Guerrero, Mexico. Pretty cool design. Standing figure and a seated figure with a frog in the back, it says. All right, just take a look at the design. It's pretty cool. The art. And then we got these. These are pretty cool. I'm like looking at them, like, what are they, lanterns or candle holders, oil burners, or is this like some ancient technology we don't know about? Look at this. Pretty cool. And the material's pure stone, it looks like, you know, or granite or whatever it is. Jade. Just temple model with sidewalls, temple model with roof cone, and a temple model with central finial. All right, from Guerrero, Mexico. Now look at this guy. Look at his beard. Look at his hair. It's all braided up. And then look at his beard. He got, is that two cornrows? What is that? In the middle, mohawk style. He got the Wakanda X. Look at that. Wakanda X, Wakanda X, Wakanda forever. Wakanda forever. A bearded standing figure, bearded, okay? Who said the Indians didn't have beard? Wakanda forever. Guerrero, Mexico. The outline of this figure and the crossing of the arms closely follow the Mezcala tradition. All right, not African Mezcala tradition, but the execution is more detailed and naturalistic. This is evident in the observant modeling of knees and stomach, the carefully delineated fingers and a head that suggests a portrait of a specific individual. This figure is also unlike standard Mezcala pieces. So they're literally saying that this depicted a specific individual. They can tell by the head that this was modeled after somebody. Human mask with perforated eyes and mouth, it says here. All right. And we got with another human mask with perforated eyes and mouth. And again, another mask. They copied it. You see where they got Jason from. All right, now you know. And now we got this right here where it says standing dancer. Look at the standing dancer. Look at his headgear. Wow. And it says three-figure effigy vessel right here from Colima, Mexico. Seated hunchback baby. A seated hunchback baby. A crouching feline. And a seated male figure. A seated male figure. Look at his pose. All right. And you see the details in some of it. This is art. This is not easy to do. We got a standing armored guardian with spear. Let me zoom in on that. All right, look at that. Armored guardian with a spear. Look at him. He ain't playing. He's straight up armored and he got his spear. And it says a seated man. A seated man with a knee up. Let me back up so you guys can see it. Got a little do-rag sign going on in his hair. All right, so continue and check this one out. This one's pretty cool. He got a little helmet with little spikes on. Little long nose right here. His buttocks and a little gear here. Is that a ball player or something? Is he playing baseball? What is that, a weapon? What's going on here? Got his little spear. It says armored standing guardian with club. And then it says 10 seated figurines. Wow, look at that. Look at their cone heads. Wow. What does that remind you of? We got a seated Chinesca girl. A seated Chinesca girl. Look at that. Then we got this figurine. Pottery, stonework. Seated bearded Chinesca with cub from Nayarit, Mexico. This is from 100 BC to 200 AD. All right, look at that. Pretty cool. An alien Chinesca woman. We saw this earlier. All right, almost looked like a sloth. We got a slumped mourner effigy jar here. Dark red slipped clay with black manganese oxide. Standing pregnant woman. Oh, look at that. Pregnant woman. Wow. Wow. Look at the detail and the creativity, yeah? We got a seated couple right here. A seated couple. Take a look. This is pretty cool right here. Look at him. His hat, her helmet, her earrings. They're just chilling. She's having some tea or something, or some chocolate, or some chicha, some fermented corn. They're also from Nayarit, Mexico, Eastland region. We got a plaza scene here. I think we've seen these before, and it has like houses and everything. You see, they're just chilling. Another seated couple, it says here. A seated couple. It says here, urban Teotihuacan. A great metropolis does not necessarily bring forth great sculpture. A profusion of monuments like those dedicated to gods, rulers, and military heroes in ancient Athens and Rome was no more necessary to the life of Teotihuacan than to that of New York or many other cities the world has seen. The glory of Teotihuacan lay in its majestic pyramid-based buildings, the grandeur of its central plaza, and the immensity of the city as a whole. To consider Such a center of civilization only in terms of art, or a single art like sculpture, is to miss its real impact on the character and art of contemporary people. Teotihuacan. This is the stand-in goddess. This is from Teotihuacan, where they got that pyramid, large pyramids there. They found this over here, old fire god brazier. Another one here, plum jaguar, Teotihuacan. We got a spear with the sign inside. This is a Tlaloc stela, it says. All right, and then we got a couple of masks coming up. These are all from Teotihuacan. Check this one out right here, Teotihuacan. All right. And we got some more masks here. Look at that. Was that Scottie Pippen? What's up, Scottie Pippen? And then we got, it says here, Metropolitan, Northeast Puebla. That's where they found that one. All right, this is Josopal, Acatlan, Puebla, from the Teotihuacan culture. That was their capital. All right, pretty cool mask. Now I ran into this. All right, you got 3 views of it. Standing figure, it says here. Don't know where they got it from, but it was in some German museum, I guess, but it was from Mexico. All right, this is from Mexico. All right, and this is a seated man, it says here, the Teotihuacan culture, the Buddhist seated position, meditation, he's in meditation. Another figure here. Look at that, pretty cool. Look at that, they try to hide that one. That one's very little. You gotta zoom in to appreciate it. So here it is zoomed out again. Little figurine and the big one over here. Dancing human figurine. All the dancers out there, check it out. You see that? That's from the Valley of Mexico, Teotihuacan, from AD 150. It says lively, slender figurines like this one recall the happy personages depicted in the murals of Tlalocan Paradise in Tepantitla, a district of Teotihuacan. While the slender bodies fashioned by hand were gracefully but simply rendered, the faces were pressed in tiny molds so delicately modeled as to suggest portraits. This is a pretty cool one right here. It's a seated figure jaw. This is from Teotihuacan. Check this one out. Very cool. All right, very cool jaw. A seated dog. Is that a shallot? Shallots. Says here, a seated old fire god. This large clay figure, now in the Museo Nacional de Antropología, Mexico, was uncovered in excavations at the early classic site of Cerro de las Mesas, Veracruz, led by Matthew Sterling. Really cool. I mean, just look at the details. And also, again, he has a beard. He also has a beard, sitting again like a Buddha in meditation, huh? Then we're going to see the ruins of El Tajin, Veracruz. These are the ruins. Check this out. Look at this pyramid right here, El Tajin. And this is in Veracruz, Mexico. And look all around. Look at all the different pyramids and mounds all over the place that they haven't even uncovered in this picture. But look at this pyramid. Look like the ones in Asia, right? And now look at this one. Look at this guy right here with his dog or wolf or coyote mask. All right, seated again like a Buddha, cross-legged, in meditation. It says seated man with canine headdress, a canine headdress from Oaxaca. Oaxaca. Right, Oaxaca. We got another seated man wearing a helmet. Check that out. Very cool helmet. Look at that. And it definitely looks like a helmet. You can see the strap and everything. This next one's really cool. Check this one out. Standing man wearing a helmet. And you already know what you see. The so-called Negro, so-called black, copper-colored tribes of America. You see? This narrow-waisted figure conveys with its springy S curves a poised alertness. An interesting local variant of the remojadas type, it wears a short fitted tunic with scallop-edged waist and sleeves and a band of concentric discs, possibly representing precious stones across the upper torso and shoulders. It can be dated by its resemblance to another clay figure, also having button-shaped pupils stuck into spindle-shaped eyes, which was excavated by Alonso Medellin Senil. All right, and this is from Veracruz. Again, check it out. Haha, this is what they're describing. Look at the whole body. All right, look at that. Look at his gear. Then it says we got a seated girl coming up and a female head with jaguar headdress. All right, you see this? All right, this is the one with the jaguar on top. Standing lady wearing bird headdress, it says. A standing lady wearing a bird headdress. We got a standing warrior holding a spear, it says. All right. Standing dancer with removable helmet mask. Look at that. This is so cool. It even comes with the removable helmet mask. All right, and you see the clothing again, looking like the what they wear in the carnivals, right? All right. Now this one's really cool. All right, a wheeled feline whistle. Now wheeled, right? That's very important here. This is very important because they said that people in America didn't have the wheel in ancient America. And this is proof that the wheel was here. This is pre-Columbian. This is before the Europeans arrived from AD 550, they're saying, according to their carbon dating, right? But this is a wheel and it's supposed to be a toy. So imagine if they had toys like this. Of course, they used the wheel for other functions too that they needed, right? The wheel, look at that, wheel. In ancient America, pre-Columbus, wheel. We got a snarling weasel, all right, and a monkey over here. Standing woman here on the right, all right. You guys can see, and a seated ball player. All right, now this one is really cool. I'm gonna show you guys, let me back up so you guys can look at it really good. Now look at it, I'm gonna leave it like this for a while. You guys take a really good look at it. What do you see? What do you see here? And what does it look like? Honestly, to me, this could be like something out of, you know, the walls of ancient Egypt, you know, with the side profile and everything. And almost kind of like the artistic style of the Egyptians. And I also noticed that this person has a beard. That's the only difference. You don't see Egyptians with that much beards all the time. But this one has a beard, all right? And you see it has like a little ribbon or headband on. Some earrings, a necklace. Back up, it says circular plate with a bearded head and profile. This is from Veracruz, Mexico, 750 to 900 AD. This is from El Tajin. El Tajin. All right, once again, take a really good look at this. This is awesome. This is a smooth closed yoke. These were worn by the ball players. If you remember on my ancient ball player videos, Ancient Sports of America series. All right, another joke here. It says here with faces. All right, they had the signs on these things worn by ball players. Some more jokes. Again, these are all worn by ball players. Now look at this figure. Very awesome. Now look at this. Very detailed characteristics of the face. Has like a mohawk, kind of like, you see that? Coming all the way to the front. Very cool. This is very cool. Let me back up so you guys can see it. All right, so this is a hatchet of a crested human head from Veracruz, Mexico, AD 300. We got some more coming up. Let me show you. And then we got a hatchet of a warrior head. But very cool. You see the profile. So then we got a hatchet of a head with dolphin headdress, which is down here. Very cool. Look at that. Look at his characteristics. All right. And then hatchet of warrior head up here. All right, very cool. This is a parrot head hacha of a parrot. Parrot. All right. Then we got rodent head hacha, open work hacha of a man struggling with a snake. Wow, struggling with a snake. Let's zoom into that. All right, we saw this earlier. We saw a better picture of it. The guy had a beard. These are hands right here. In the way how people pray, you know, with the hands together. Look at that. This is, wow. And it is called palma with praying hands from Veracruz, Mexico. Then we got this inverted snake with crenellated tail. Very cool. Look at that. All right, these next two are pretty cool. It says we're going to see a seated male figure. This is from Oaxaca, Mexico, and a spinal column pot stand. Now pay close attention to this man seated right here. Look at this. Very cool. Very cool. Look at that. All right, with his little turban on. You see that? Look at his phenotype. Look at his features. Look at the designs on him. See if we can zoom in. Look at the design he has right here. And on his helmet. That the red moon. The Maya red moon symbol. All right, and then they said a spinal cord right next to him. This is an urn of a seated deity. All right, this is the front and this is the back. This is a seated figure of a deity. All right, look at the details of the stonework. That's from Oaxaca, Mexico. And then we got a figure of an old man. Figure of an old man, it says. As you can see, he has a beard. But very cool, look at that. Figure of an old man, it says. An urn of a standing figure. An urn of a standing figure. Look at all the stuff he has on. There's a little animal or jaguar on the top. A standing maize god. We got a standing maize god right here. Look at that. Almost looks like an elephant kind of deity. Look at his gear. We have a vampire bat head. Vampire bat head right here. And then we're going to see a ceremonial scene with 16 figurines. All right, check this out. Very cool. And then we got a seated figure or standing figure. Then you got this panel relief, as they call it, in what appears to be, this is like a turtle, but then it looks like a different type of animal, but it looks like a turtle shell. And you see different people here. He's getting his hair braided or something. Very interesting. Will definitely be interesting to be able to decipher this. All right, what it means. Relief slab with a genealogy. I guess is a genealogy of a certain people. You see that? This is a genealogy. Family tree. Wow. This right here is chalk from Tikal. All right, this is in Tikal. Now we're into the Maya realm here. Tripod effigy bowl. There's a tripod effigy bowl, it says. We got a miniature stela here representing something. You guys can see some hieroglyphics in Guatemala. Some more stelas here. And they're all depicting and telling a story. And some more stelas, as you guys can see. Very beautiful art and everything represented on it. Just like in the Egyptian walls. From Machaquila, another stela in El Petén, Guatemala. All right, you can see these people's like dreadlocks almost, you know, their hair. This is the Madrid stela, as it is called. All right, they're all again depicting something, telling a story. All right, we got another one right here from Jacques Stalin. Look at that. Look at his hair going up, the dreadlocks. You guys see that? Looks like they took off their noses. Look at his beard, like the Egyptian. You see this guy's beard hanging down, like almost like the Egyptian. It look almost like Japanese too. Seated down, cross-legged. Face panel, it says here, and some hieroglyphics on the side. All right, that looks like almost like an elephant mask he has on. We got another one right here, another stela. All right, look at the art on this. A standing personage from Campeche, Hyena, Campeche, Mexico. All right, he's decked out with his ornaments. And then we got a water lily spirit down here, water lily spirit, just like Asian beliefs, right? In India and Southeast Asia and everything. Then we got a warrior and a figurine whistle. Figurine whistle, look at that. That's a whistle. They took off his nose too. Figurine. A warrior again over here. All right, look at that. Look how he's dressed, man. These ain't savage people, ancient people. And then look at this whistle right here. And look how he got like the sumo kind of look. You see? Then we got a statue of a priest here from Tabasco, Mexico. It says. All right. Then we got a kneeling figure. Now look at this. This is very interesting. Look at his mustache, how it curls around. You see that? And he's like a genie. Hi, you got 3 wishes. Go ahead, master, make your wish. All right, kneeling figure. All right, now we're gonna see a Batman. All right, the original Batman. We're gonna see the original Batman. There you go. Shout out to the brother from California, the brother Jesus Macal, Stephen Arevalo. All right, with his ancestor, the Murcielago, and the Bat people. All right, so he knows exactly what this is right here. Shout out to him. He sent me a lot of good info. He posted on Instagram. All right, the Batman, the original Batman. Says bats abound in Maya art and iconography. The leaf-nosed vampire bat appears prominently on painted vases from the Chama region of Alta Verapaz and lent its name to the 4th month of the Maya year. Its profile head symbolized that month in glyphic writing and formed the main element in the emblem glyph of Copan, the city most noted for sculpture in the round. Both the emphatic 3-dimensionality of this creature and its symbolic bat form related to the bats of Copan. It may represent a real personage related by blood to the rulers of that city. All right, you hear that? Entirely human except for the distinguishing head and wings. The figure stands against a supporting column that extends below its projecting feet and loincloth tassel. The original Batman, like I said, was a real person. This is a bust structure at Copan, Honduras. Peabody Museum of Archaeology in Harvard now. That's where they have it now, you see. They took that from Copan. And now they got it in their museums in Boston and Cambridge. I've been to that museum. A pair of half figures, it says here. Look at that. Almost look like the Hindu figures. This one right here. And they took off a lot. Very damaged. Very ancient though. Look at it. Wow, look at the art, the detail. This is amazing. We got a head pendant, a mosaic head pendant. We saw this in color earlier, in jade. All right. Also, this one, the funerary mask of Pacal. Right, they found his tomb, and they got this from Pacal right there in his tomb. And we got a seated figure pendant from Tula, Hidalgo, Mexico. You guys can see right here. Some other cool little figures right here. You see this right here with the phenotype. So the seated figure right here, this big one, is from Guatemala. This is a seated figure pendant. And a skull here from Guatemala, El Petén. You can see. This is the left hand, they saying. Maybe to help you scratch or something. Reach your back. A scepter figure. All right, a scepter figure right here on the right. And some more scepter figures. It says here, this is a Nicaraguan sculpture. As it says here, towering stone figures from Barriles near the Costa Rican border of Panama are columnar in effect, but also carved in an unusual open style that may have been ancestral to the Costa Rican. The little map of Central America. You guys can see Costa Rica's right here. This is Panama, Nicaragua, Honduras. You see the Chiriquí, Cherokee, Chiriquí, Diquis area, Guapiles, Philadelphia, Nicoya. Look at that. That's all right here. The original. Got an effigy of a jar man right here. Effigy of a jar man. This is from Lake Managua, Nicaragua. All right. They found this over there. This right here to the right is a standing figure from Línea Vieja, Eastern Costa Rica. Eastern Costa Rica. Let me zoom in. And you know, I got that nose right there. All right, they found this in the Guapiles area of Costa Rica. You see that? This right here is a standing prisoner, it says. Standing prisoner. Take a good look. All right, standing prisoner. All right. And this is from Línea Vieja, Eastern Costa Rica, from 800 to 1500 AD. And this other figurine here, it got like head in the hands. You see that? It's like sitting, oh, it's on top of somebody, being held by somebody. Double figure from Chiriquí, Panama. From Chiriquí, Panama. Let me back up. Ceremonial metate en mano, Guatemala. These are also found in Costa Rica a lot. So ceremonial mate, as you can see, Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Some of my family go back to Guanacaste, the Chorotega indigenous group. All right, they make these kind of metates, as they're called. Different types, you see, they got all different kind of designs, so you can make corn and stuff and sit on them. Then we're gonna see a head. It says this is from Las Mercedes, Costa Rica. This is in the Brooklyn Museum. If you ever been to the Brooklyn Museum, you've seen this. This is from Costa Rica. And again, you see that nose? I got that nose right there. This is from Veracruz, Panama. This head right here. And then we got this standing woman from Guanacaste, or Philadelphia, Guanacaste, Costa Rica. All right, you see that? Let me zoom in. We saw her earlier. You know, you see that's from Costa Rica, a standing woman. It says no other ceramic figure so large as this has yet been found in Lower Central America. It was discovered broken in a burial at the Finca El Viejo that contains similar figure half its size, but nothing else. The neighborhood of Philadelphia and the Upper Nicoya Peninsula has long been known for handsomely carved stone metates, clubheads, and jades that were contemporaneous with this extraordinary figure, or somewhat earlier, or full polychrome ceramics that were developed later. Imported early classic Maya jades and the remains of pirate mirrors have also been found there, carried southward in the thriving coastal trade that played so large a part in the prosperity and advancement of the Nicoya region of Costa Rica. Nicoya, all right. Effigy jar here from Costa Rica. This is a vase with animal handles. This is from Ulua Valley, Honduras. Very cool. Look at that. Look at the art on that, the design. That's not easy to do. Very skillful. We got a seated figure here. What it appears to, he might have like a helmet. What is that? Looks like he has a beard. It says, descended seemingly from the serpent-protected leather portrait of La Venta. He too wears as a helmet the head of a great serpent, its body undulating down his back and ending 6 rattles. All right, so yes, that is a serpent coming down. All right, you see that? Very cool. We got an owl mace head and a long-beaked bird pendant. That's a toucan probably, and a crocodile bead right here. Crocodile bead. Axe god pendant over here, a crocodile pendant. And these are from Panama, Cocle, Panama. This is from Guanacaste, Costa Rica. This one right here. A curly-tailed animal pendant and a jaguar pendant. These are all gold. All right, these are made out of gold. Okay, from Diquis Delta, Costa Rica. There's a lot of gold here. From here all the way down to Peru, there's so much gold. All right, this is the true Gold Coast. And all this right here, they found all over Panama, Colombia, Costa Rica. All these that are made out of gold. So as you guys can see, twin warrior pendant gold, twin animal pendant gold and bone, golden serpentine, tusk-shaped pendant, manatee rib bone. Wow. Some more pendants or bells here. And a shark pendant, as it says here, from Chiriquí, Panama. And a frog pendant and an eagle pendant, it says here, from the Diquis area of Costa Rica, or Veraguas. It was called Veraguas. Alligator god plate. Alligator god plate. These are all gold, right? All this stuff is made out of gold. Look at this alligator god plate. Look at this, from Coclé, Panama. And another one right here. Look at this one, very cool. Look at the little creatures or alligators, as they're saying. Ceremonial stool, right? That's from the Dominican Republic. This is from the Dominican Republic. And then we got a crouching male figure. And this is also from the Dominican Republic. All right, the Dominican Republic. Some more artifacts here. We're gonna see where they were from. Look at that, that's pretty cool. It has a face, like a bracelet, something going around. Massive belt, it says. From Puerto Rico, Arecibo, Puerto Rico. Elbow stone with human face, that was from Puerto Rico too. Calle. And the Tenon skull right here, this is from Puerto Rico. As you guys can see, pretty cool. Three-corned semi or prone figure. A three-corned head. And all this is from Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico on the top here. Bent human figure from Puerto Rico. Arawak, it says. This is from the Arawak people. A skull of a dog deity. A skull of a dog deity. This is from Antigua, the British West Indies. Okay. Look at that. Looks like the Mexican stuff and stuff we saw in Central America. This is the colossal Atlanteans of Tula. The Atlanteans of Tula, all right? They recognize in this book who's the real Atlanteans. The Atlanteans of Tula in Mexico. This is a detail of a temple of Quetzalcoatl at Tula. All right, and got some jaguars right there and Quetzalcoatl here in the bottom. All right, we're about to see an Atlantean warrior. An Atlantean warrior, as it says. Look at that. An Atlantean warrior. And some more Atlantean warriors. We saw this earlier. They got their hands up, all of them. All these Atlantean warriors, as they're being called, from Chichen Itza, Yucatan, Mexico. A double serpent-headed altar. Architectural feathered serpent. We're about to see right here. Look at that, a feathered serpent. And two eagles devouring the heart of something. Two eagles. We got an effigy jar of an old man's head, and of course he has a beard too, from Guatemala. We got a knife with a carved handle here from Yucatan, Mexico. All right, look at that, that's pretty cool to put your knife in. And then we got these little figurines, brown figurines, and these are the drawings that correspond to them, what you can see on them. Pretty cool, right? Look at this. Wow, look at that. And he has a beard and everything. So yeah, look at it's eating the man right here. Then it's eating that. Wow, this is pretty cool. There's a human figure seated on base, Oaxaca, Mexico, it says. Effigy base of kneeling man in conch shell. Wow. It says this is a giant serpent head from Cueva del Tigre, Acatlán de Pérez, Figueroa, Oaxaca. A giant serpent head. Look at that. And we got some more figurines here. You see this one right here on the side, on the right. Standing male figure from Veracruz, it said. And a maize god urn right here on the right. We got a chantil figure of Macuilchotlin right here on the right. We got a pair of cedar frogs right here. And then we got a effigy incense burner. Wow, an incense burner. That's how cool it is. We got a colossal head of the rain god. Right, I believe that was the rain god. We got a seated figure of rain god. All right, as you guys can see, he has a beard too. The rain god has a beard, just like all the rest. And then we got a funerary mask, it says. This is the mask, and then we got the effigy bell of a human head. Effigy bell of a human head, that's from Honduras. Then we got a standing male animal, it says, made out of stone. That's from Mexico. And we got a mask of Toltec from Michoacan. Perforated mask of a skull. This was found right in Mexico City. Mexico City was the ancient capital of Tenochtitlan. It was an ancient lake. All right. Cuaticlue de Metro, it says here. They found this again in Mexico City. Again, that was the ancient capital, Tenochtitlan. A seated standard bearer, right here. And we got some more figurines. Look how cool this is. Look at this. All right, look at these down here. These are all from Mexico. Look at this one right here. So this is the front, and this is the inside. Even in the inside, it has a design. Look how cool that is. Even on the inside, it has a design. Wow. We have a greenstone shallot right here. Shallot. Quetzalcoatl, this feather serpent, it says down here. All right. And then I got this other figurine right next to him. Tepetlacali, or a stone box. A stone box. Look at that. Stone box. With a design. All right. So these are all different stone works. They got coiled snake, it says here. Cactus with roots. A cactus with roots. This appears to be vegetable. This type of squash. Pumpkin, it says, a squash. All right. So different vegetables they got depicted here. We got pectoral in the form of shallot again. There's a max of Zapotec. So basically it repeats some of the things we already saw. Look at this mass mosaic. So that's about it for today. I just wanted to go ahead and just show this great book. If you guys are interested, it's free. Just look for it. It's on this website I found in this museum. I forgot where I saw it. It was on some museum. And I said, oh, free PDF. And I downloaded it. But you could just look for it on the title. I'm going to share it on my Patreon for everybody as well. But I hope you enjoyed this little art gallery right here. Kind of, you know, these artifacts that we never see. Again, this was an exhibition from 1970. So if you missed it, right? It's, you know, you might not ever see these type of artifacts in person or ever, you know, anywhere. So it's kind of cool to be able to go through these little books and see the art. Especially for those who enjoy the culture and the art. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in again one more time with me. I got a lot of videos coming in June. Trust that. I'm going to be on a roll, but we got a lot of videos coming. We're going to continue some of the series I had already going. Trust that. And some very new content, things that you know, probably never heard of. You know, just like to come surprise you guys with sometimes with, you know, new things too. So I hope you enjoyed this. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Hawa bless. Pura vida. Yeah.